Pandemonium Reigns.
Yo, and welcome to Pandemonium Reigns. Got a very special guest with us today because it's been a stupid week because schedules are stupid. So Mike has done an episode on his own, but good friend, good pal, had a good experience with him last time. Jonathan Parrish, everybody, say hey, man.
Hey! How's everybody doing?
So, JP, my dude, it is the third Saturday in October, and it finally, after 16, 15 years, however long it's been. You and I are probably coming right out of adolescence. And
yeah, no,
close
yes.
to it. Yeah, I got you.
Maybe you. I've got a few more gray hairs than you, brother.
I think you only got me by 1 year, though, if I remember right.
Okay.
I don't
do
remember.
The math later.
I really don't remember. But it finally feels like this game means something after years. And there are other big games this weekend. You've got a Penn State, Michigan. You've got an LSU, Florida, but nobody seems to care because everybody is talking. Tennessee and Alabama.
Hey, they wrote Dolly in for game day, so I mean, it's going to be rocking in Knoxville for sure.
I have made the decision already because I will be there with Mike and another buddy that I'm just going to stay in Knoxville after the game, no matter what happens, because there's bound to be naked people and couches on fire, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, you're going to get a little column A, a little column B. It really just depends, like what body is on fire. It might be a body, it might be a couch. You just never know.
And you're not going to be able to see anything because there's going to be smoke due to the cigars. So
that's correct.
Nobody's going to know what's happening.
Maybe cigars. Maybe.
I fully expect Alabama to travel well, and if 10,000 people are smoking a cigar, that's a lot of cigar smoke. So
yeah, there'll be some puff pass for sure, one way or the other. One way or the other.
Oh man!
Now, wouldn't for me, constant asthmatic. I have to, not partake in the frivolities of the third Saturday in October wins in the past, but I've done my fair share of partying.
I hear you. Hey, speaking of asthma, do you still introduce yourself the same way? Hey, I'm JP. I have asthma, and I'm an Eagle Scout.
I mean, yes. Depending on the company, I don't roll up and meet somebody at work. I'm like, hey, JP, I have asthma, and I'm an Eagle Scout. Boss, I don't do that. But
end it with Roll Tide now.
Roll Tide, that was the patented college, post-college, just keep people on their toes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, as a big time Alabama fan, had Michael dubbed you as the biggest Alabama fan he knows?
That's when I heard that, I thought that was quite the compliment. I mean, he's probably right. Let's be honest. But that was very nice for him to say that. Everybody needs to go listen to his little 25 minute spiel on the game. Is really well done, and he brought up a lot of great points.
Yeah, he's definitely carrying the Pandemonium Reigns podcast for sure.
Back hurting,
So listen, through an Alabama lens, just kind of generally speaking here, how are you feeling going into Neyland? I did not mean for that to rhyme, but it happened.
You're pretty talented, Dan. I got to say. I think a lot of it's going to depend on who's coming up to play quarterback. Yeah. If it's Bryce at 50%, if it's Bryce at 80%, I'm going to feel pretty good. But I'm going to feel okay with Milroe. I mean, I think if you look at that game last week against Texas A&M, without the two fumbles, that game's easily over. Sure. And he struggled. He experienced a lot of anxiety in the pocket, and I mean, it was nice for him to get his first start at home. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M's front seven's pretty good, caused a lot of problems, but we were still able to, run the ball. And I think one of the things that I'm more confident about in this team than I have been even the last probably 2 years is offensive line play. I think that they've done a much better job. Seen a lot more improvement from week 1 to now this year than I have, probably since 2020. So Pretty happy with that. So that's really the first thing. Is Milroe going to come out and play, or is it going to be Bryce? What I've heard is that, like in baseball, Bryce has been on a pitch count all week. Basically, he's throwing the ball around, but he's not, going out and practicing, throwing 80 balls. He may be throwing 20, 30. So, I got a feeling that Tennessee's going to, that's one thing Tennessee's going to have to do is game plan for both, because they're very different quarterbacks. Milroe's going to bring the boomstick whenever he can. And I think maybe he probably could have done a little bit better job of that. And I think, I'm not sure if Bill O'Brien did a great job prepping for the Texas A&M game. I feel like he called way too many developing plays where Milroe needs to be like, hey, give me a hot route. If it's not there, let me skedaddle. A
lot of what we saw with Jalen Hurts in 16.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Though I will say Jalen was a better passer.
Absolutely. No question.
Just, much better passer. But at the same time, Jalen came from a high school that was, I think Jalen came from maybe a Fort Worth area suburb, maybe Dallas Fort Worth area suburb, that had a football team that was all about passing. And I mean, he wanted to pass, like regardless of how good he was. And Milroe, he played at Katy, Texas, and that offense was more about, hey, you're the best player in the city, get after it.
Go make a play.
Right, and so they've done a good job coaching him up, I think, but he just experienced a lot of anxiety when he was in the pocket. I mean, you could tell. You could tell if you watched any bit of that game. So that's going to be really, is Tennessee's defense going to be able to, if it's Milroe playing, are they going to be able to stop us from running? Because, dude, Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud.
Yes,
a flat out stud. Like,
yes.
You know what? you're gonna watch him in person and think, is that Alvin Kamara out there?
Yeah,
I mean, really,
I've heard the comparisons. Yeah.
And that's a Danielson comparison, which I know he's your best friend and all, but it's actually pretty apt. I mean, it's a pretty apt comparison.
Wait a second. I have no problem with Gary Danielson. Actually, it's Michael that gets his feathers all in a pickle. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. He I've always liked him. I mean, I liked him back when he couldn't get Tebow's name out of his mouth. Because he goes to practice, he watches practice, he picks up on things, and the guy over the last 10 years has called more plays before they've happened.
I think he's pretty good at his job, honestly. I think I just don't I don't think people want to agree with what's being said.
Yeah. So. Well, and he's works for CBS, so he's paid to like pump up the best teams. And it's just so happened to have been Alabama a lot. But the year that LSU won in 19, I mean, my gosh, couldn't get Joe Burrow's name out of his mouth. So it's it is what it is.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about, Milroe. Now, if Bryce is going to start and he can hit the intermediate throws, the short passes, if he can, excuse me, if he can get out and really not take hits, then I also like our chances. I mean, I think I like our chances. So that's really the offensive side of the ball. I think if our offensive line can establish the run and make some 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 4, something like that, we got a great chance.
To go back to the Texas A&M game for a second, you said that if you guys don't fumble, that we're looking at a very different ball game. I want to add to that and just say, if you guys knock down 2 field goals, you're looking at a very different ball game, right?
Which is kind of crazy because he's been like the best kicker at Alabama
in your history. Yes,
it's been maybe it's been like, oh, Reichert's coming up to kick. Cool, I'm gonna go get something to drink.
Exactly. And another thing, I think people are, and tell me whether you agree or disagree. People are dismissing A&M altogether because of their loss to Appalachian State and their hardly of a win over Arkansas due to the kicker, doinking the top of the field goal post. Anyway,
oh man, yeah.
The national media and fan bases all over the world are dismissing A&M, and I'm sitting here saying their biggest issue is actually just quarterback play.
That's right.
In my mind, because defensive line, really good. Linebacker
Oh
play,
yeah,
really good. Back end, really good. They've got an absolute stud in the backfield on the offensive end. They've got dudes on the outside, especially this true freshman Stewart guy. They have a really good offense.
He mossed on the fourth quarter on that last drive. He mossed. I mean, Terran Arnold he's a true freshman. He's a stud, and he straight up mossed him. I mean, just went, thank you. So I'm sitting here going, well, we have one of these every time we get beat in the fourth quarter. I mean, here it comes.
I'm telling you. But with all that said, A&M across the board, across all these position groups are really solid. And you know what? As a Tennessee fan, I just don't think we compare that way at every position group. The difference between us and an A&M is quarterback play, right? Offensive play calling are your two biggest differences.
Yes, agreed.
Jimbo's is still stuck in 2013. And Jameis is not coming out, right? And Haynes King.
You never know.
Oh, well. I mean, you know what, Jameis Winston, you're right. You absolutely just never know.
You never know.
This guy, he's something else. But anyway, with all that said, the biggest difference between us and A&M is quarterback play and offensive play calling. So look at it and comparing, and I understand that this game is not if Alabama beats Team A and actually, let me reword it this way. If Team A beats Team B and B team beats C, then A should beat C. Well, that's not just how this game works, right?
No.
This is
not a transitive property game. You're right.
That's the big fancy word I was looking for. So, with all that said, you can't even really hold that to the fire. You can't compare that that. That doesn't really matter, because two very big differences is we don't know who's rolling out for quarterback at Alabama.
Yes.
This game is not in Tuscaloosa. It's in Knoxville. So if it is Milroe, what is he thinking before the ball is snapped? Because listen, I was there for the Florida game.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, hands to the ear. I was there for the Florida game, and that was loud. But Michael told me, he said this was not 2016 Florida loud. This thing is about to be bonkers. I'm serious. Couches on fire and naked people, regardless of what happens.
It's gonna be a great test for the team. I mean, I'm kind of like, as a fan of good football, like, I'm excited to see how we handle that.
You haven't been great on the road for the past year and a half.
Haven't. And you go back 5, 6, 7 years. It was almost like our teams were mad that fans even showed up to watch us play when we'd go to Knoxville or we'd go to Baton Rouge, or it's like you go to Auburn, who knows what's going to happen because of the voodoo, but especially Knoxville and Baton Rouge. I mean, it was like we just would go in there and it didn't matter. We just take care of business. So you're right. The teams of the last couple of years have maybe lost a step there. And so it'll be interesting to see, if they're able to. Even Athens. I mean, we went down to Athens the last 2 times we've been to Athens. I mean, just utter beatdowns. But you're right. It's going to be really interesting to see if the team is up for it, if they're prepared, mentally. I mean, it's going to be a mental game.
Let me ask you this. So the spread is currently sitting at 7. I believe it's dropped again.
Yeah.
It was 7.5. I think it started at 8.5 or possibly even 10.5.
Yeah, there was a couple books. Excuse me, sorry. Asthma. A couple books I think did have it at 10.5 before the Texas A&M game.
Okay.
And then after the Texas A&M, I think it's 7.5, 8.5. So
sure. So with that said, that tells me Vegas just doesn't know, because they don't know where to put this because simply due to quarterback play, right?
Yeah, they don't.
So you kind of addressed this, but I want to prone in just a little bit more. Are you feeling better with a 50 to 60% good to go Bryce Young, or are you feeling better with 100% Jalen Milroe?
I'm always going to feel better with the Bryce. I mean, regardless,
even if he's halfway, and possibly concerned about the backside and the throwing shoulder.
I mean, So let me say this: if he is at any way risking his future, I mean, you look at Ewers. Ewers basically had the same injury, and he was out 4 weeks. Comes back and just lights the world on fire. So if this is going to keep him from being able to, or if he could potentially risk a total season injury, then maybe he doesn't need to play. Like, we need to think about, especially think about what's going on with Tua. We do need to focus on player safety, I think, with that regard. Now, that's obviously going to be a decision between Bryce and the coach and the team doctors. If it's something like, hey, you may feel it if you fall on it, so just get rid of the ball. Like, if the game plan is going to be about two-step drop, hot route, Bryce is good enough. And I think your secondary is maybe a little susceptible enough to, to throw, 10-yard out, 6-yard curls. But see, then it comes down to, hey, can we do that for a full 60, 70, 80 yards? I don't know. But I think I still, regardless, would feel most comfortable with Bryce as long as Bryce is healthy to a point where we're not risking a total season injury, You're
going to be holding your breath with every time he drops back?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, until he gets hit. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So if let's look at this through the Tennessee lens just for a second. If you're the front seven, it's probably going to be a front six against you guys. That's we're looking at a nickel package or some kind of 4-2-5 is my thought.
Yeah,
just because of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah,
and him being able to come out of the backfield, we're going to need speed on the field. And anyway, so beside the point, whatever it is, if you're that front for Tennessee, and you see Bryce Young roll out on the first possession, what's your game plan? What do you think that the?
If I'm Tennessee, I'm hitting him regardless. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as he
cover 1, cover 0, we're coming.
Yeah. So I think, you can let him. Well, you may wait and see. Hey, is he going to have accuracy? Has he got arm strength? And you may wait and see. But if he's firing, 15-yard darts, you're like, okay, we're either going to have to get after him or eat this all the way down the field. And if you go into nickel, you play nickel the whole game, our offensive line is good enough to punish you.
Sure. Well, it is a numbers game, absolutely. And
yes,
and Jahmyr Gibbs is just that good enough to make guy 1 miss, guy 2 miss, guy 3 miss.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But even then, when we're talking about the running game, like, exponentially better this year than last year. It's been like night and day. It's a totally different blocking scheme. Wolford is a much better coach when it comes to getting them lined up for really the scheme of blocking. Last year, I can't tell you how many of our first down running plays would end up 2nd and 12. It was like 1 in 3 possessions, every other possession. And we may have seen that a time or two this year, but it was because of like a run blitz or a run stun. It wasn't because of just a total missed assignment. And actually, surprisingly, the Vanderbilt transfer, he's been pretty good.
Yeah,
he's been actually really good.
Who knows?
And true freshman Booker has showed up, and Tyler Booker, and he's going to be a monster for us. So we really rotate 6 or 7 offensive line. It may just depend on who's got the hot hand, which is kind of a nice thing to have in case we have an injury. But I've been more impressed with our offensive line play than I thought I would be from the beginning of the season.
I can relate.
And probably a lot less impressed with our wide receiver play than I thought it would be at the beginning of the season. So
fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so on Alabama takes possession here, whether they take the opening kickoff, whatever. Beside the point, their first offensive possession, their first set of downs. What do you want to see?
Well, if it's Bryce, I want to see.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, if it's Bryce. Sorry, yeah. We're still looking at this through a Bryce window.
Yeah, if it's Bryce, I want to see like pistol or, let's throw a slant. Let's look for a slant, maybe a slant and a couple of out routes or something. See if we can make an easy completion, even like a wide receiver screen. Be okay with that. And then a healthy dose of running the ball. Like, I think it's going to be very important for us to establish the run in this game.
Well, I'm talking about your first 3 downs, your first.
Oh, okay.
Your first set of chains. Like, what do you?
I don't know. Like,
do you want him to come out and sling it down 1, down 2?
Oh yeah.
You want to
down
see if
1
he
at
can do
least. Yeah, pass on first down, and then maybe if it's wide receiver screener, sometimes we'll run the little the tight end sideline route, or like a little safety valve where it'll be like a play action. I wouldn't mind seeing something like some easy completion,
just where he sits in the flats.
Yeah, it sits in the flat, fakes a block, comes off it, will tight end out pass, something like that. We've run that a lot with
Latu.
Yeah, Cameron Latu's name escapes me. We've run that a lot. He's usually pretty good with his hands on little short and something like that. And then, I want to get the ball in Gibbs' hands for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get the ball in Gibbs' hands and give him a stretch play, or we've actually run stretch play a few times. It's kind of a little zone stretch, and we scored both the 70-yard touchdowns on opposite sides of the field with that against Arkansas, and then ran it for success against A&M. He didn't go all the way, but he had a couple of 30, 40-yard runs. So it's got to get the ball in his hand.
Okay.
So in one sense, if we hit a 7-yard play, that's great. But I would almost rather keep your defense on the field.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you guys can chew clock and move the chains at a steadily rate, then I think you guys are in business, because sometimes we can score fast, and that can hurt us. It could potentially hurt us, which is why Mike and I have said several times we have loved seeing Heupel say, "All right, let's slow it down." All right.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because I feel like you've got guys in the past like Butch Jones who says, "No, this is our offense. This is what we're doing." Right. Heupel obviously knows better. All right. So staying in the same box, in the same category right here. So Tennessee defensive line is getting a lot of praise right now coming out of this LSU
they played
game.
really well.
Oh, okay. I'm going to sound like a negaval here, but I'm going to call it realism. That LSU offensive line was a hodgepodge of Walmart employees. It feels like.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah,
they're not good.
Yeah.
Is there anything about our front that concerns you, that alarms you, or is it just like, man on man, I feel good about this?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I think, who's your best defensive front four player? Probably Byron Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to play on the edge.
Yes.
So
sometimes hand in the dirt, sometimes standing.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, right. So he's probably going to get his, but I think we're okay with that.
Is he though? You guys, whether Young or Milrow, extremely elusive.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a big. If that's a big part of the game. So it's always in the SEC. It's always about line play. But you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Tennessee's defensive line is not as good as Texas A&M, I don't think. I think Texas A&M probably has more talent, a lot younger. You'll have probably a little bit more.
We're a little older.
Yeah. They have immense depth. They've got like 14 guys they rotated in. I don't even think we have 14 guys.
Thank you for validating my point with this Texas A&M thing. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, call that what you will, but if we're going to gash, 6, 7, 8, that's idealistically that would be what we want to do. But yeah, I'm not like your defense is probably from a number standpoint, your run defense has been very good this year. If you are in that 90 yards a game, if you hold us to 90 yards a game, I think you win.
Rushing? What you're saying?
90 yards rushing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you hold us to 90 yards, I think you win. If we get to maybe 200, I think we win.
Which for Jahmyr Gibbs can happen on one play.
Yeah. He runs both wings.
He'll somehow find 200 yards on 99.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, you're right. We're older in that defensive line department. There's been guys step up for us like an Omari Thomas and a Byron Young, who seems to just kind of be picking up where he left off from last year. I will say we are deeper than we were last year, and I don't remember last year's numbers. I think
bad in the fourth quarter.
It was bad in the fourth quarter. And I do think there was a couple of times where we were able to put pressure on Young, but not consistently do it. And his running ability, especially in that game, was just incredibly infuriating. So, but again, you're right. We have defended the run really, really well. Our run fits have been fantastic, but I just can't see why Alabama would say, "All right, pistol up the A gap." Why are you going to do that? I just don't see why you. I mean, what fears me the most inside the Alabama running game is a stretch off the tackle. Something like that. That makes me nervous.
Well, and McLaughlin, who is now starting over Dalcourt. Dalcourt has been the center. I've never really understood how Saban has a tendency to go the older guys. McLaughlin came in the Auburn game in like the second half and was the difference. He's a true freshman last year. He's I guess he's a true sophomore, though he only played in like 2 games or 3 games. But he's maybe the best pulling center we've had in a long time, since like William Vallejos back in 2011, 2012 timeframe. Really great pulling and sealing. And we got some nasty guards, next to him. So yes, stretch play is where we've gotten a lot of money this year. Yeah. But Bob likes to run it up the middle, so you'll get plenty of that too.
Which I think that's coming. Hang on, what are my words here? That's just playing the game of we have to keep them honest, right? I mean,
right.
My wife will say, "Why are they running that play? It never works." Well, you have to keep them honest.
Yeah. Well, and it's twofold: keep them honest, and if you have success, then it's bad for.
Absolutely. I mean, the fastest way from A to B is a straight line, right? And if you can get that straight line, then take the A gap. I mean,
that's right.
Right off the center's hip. So
that's right. Yeah. So we'll see. That excuse me. Sorry. That'll be a big. That'll be big if we can establish the run up the middle, even stretch plays. We don't really run tosses anymore.
You don't need to.
No.
I just don't think you need to. Turn around and head it off. I mean,
the
toss is almost. Don't dismiss me, people. It is almost an expired play. Almost.
Yeah. Well, with you the speed on the field.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. All right, so as we move towards the back end with the Alabama offense and the Tennessee defense, let's talk about the Alabama receivers here. You made a comment about them earlier. Talk about those guys a little bit. Obviously, I mean, we're not breaking any type of new news here. You have to like the Alabama receivers against the Tennessee secondary.
Yeah, I mean, even as inconsistently as excuse me, sorry, as we played. Yeah, I mean, I think so. One-on-one, yeah.
Which, to me, I still think that you guys have an advantage there. And I think you have an advantage even if Milroe is back there. I think you have an advantage there.
Maybe.
The Florida Anthony Richardson 453 yards haunts me.
Yeah. Well,
and we're far removed from that pit where we sit pressure and ran a lot of man coverage.
Yeah.
Right? Which we did against LSU, but the game was over before it kicked.
I think where in the past it's been, if it's Milroe, in the past we've really got you on the 3, 4, 5 second drops where our receivers get separation, where our schemes receivers open. In the past, the back end of your secondary past 3, 4, 5 years has at times just been absent.
Right.
And so that's where we saw a lot of big pass plays. Now, Milroe is not a guy that should be in the pocket for more than 3 or 4 seconds. So I think there's definitely less of an advantage there. If our wide receivers can get separation, off the jump and hit a little, if you're playing zone, find an opening. If you're playing man, make a play. But I think it's less of an advantage if Milroe's out there. So
if Milroe rows out, I would actually like to see the similar game plan we had against Anthony Richardson, because the game plan was keep your eyes on Q, right? That's man coverage and zone coverage. The biggest difference is what are the eyes doing of the defensive secondary, and our eyes are going to be in the backfield. We're going to have it on the Q, and I don't trust Milroe to be able to go through checks, keep his head up and look. So I would actually like to see some zone here. Richardson, kind of blew us all away with his ability to elude and keep his head up.
Yeah.
If it's Bryce, I want to man up and I want to come after you.
Yeah, you got to. He's too good, especially if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Especially if he's healthy. I mean, goodness.
Yeah, because think about this, because Texas dialed it up perfectly in this last Alabama possession in this game. Sent pressure, but he just, Houdini'd his way out of that and ran for 40, 45, whatever it was.
Yeah.
To put you guys
play the
in
game.
Position. Yeah. But you know what? If that's how we're going to lose, then that's how we're going to lose. And
that's how you want to lose. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to lose on the talent of the player, not on the scheme breaking down or whatever.
Absolutely.
Your coverage breaking down. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. All right. Any other things that we need to hit there as far as the Alabama offensive side, Tennessee defensive side? Any other comments there, you think?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. I really like our offense against your defense with either quarterback, but I really like it with Bryce. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see if we made some pretty stupid, careless penalties, and see if the crowd noise affects false starts or illegal motion. Milroe in a 1st and 15 is almost a death knell. So something to be cognizant of as you watch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Saban is just kind of good at managing these situations.
Yeah,
it could all be smoke and mirrors. Bryce could not be ready at all, but nobody's leaking any kind of info, and it's going to be Jalen Milroe, right?
Yeah, that's right. Which I'm confident in Milroe. I'm confident in him. Saban said he's making all the throws in practice. He just had anxiety. So, whatever it's going to take for him to, to get over that. Maybe he does show out and make some plays that blow us all away. We'll see.
Sure. Is there any chance, if it's not Young, that we see Ty Simpson? You think?
I don't think so. I don't think the playbook's expansive enough yet.
Okay.
I just don't think. Maybe you see him if Bryce is out and we're down 14 at halftime and Milroe's just a head case. Why not? But no, I don't think so.
The reason I asked because there was some stupid article out there, somebody trying to get clickbait, where, oh no, Ty Simpson is liking all these tweets of people requesting him to be QB1 on Saturday. Okay, who wouldn't? You're 19 years old, whatever.
Yeah.
Who
whatever
wouldn't?
He's apparently the real deal, but if he's the real deal, he should have been ready.
Well, as a Tennessee fan, if it's Ty Simpson, I hope he throws a pick six. So
I understand.
Anybody who follows recruiting, if you know, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's flip to the other side of the ball here. This side of the ball is a little bit different.
Yeah, I think so.
Little bit different. There is no question who's going to roll out Q on this side, and I just tell you, man, years of just
mediocrity,
sadness, and what felt like Jarrett Guarantano, who felt like he did 13 years here, right? And so it feels good to roll out a Q who I don't think is going to win the Heisman, but he's just in that conversation,
Yeah,
man,
having an excellent year.
Excellent year. And anyway, all that said, I feel differently about this side. Not that I don't think our defense might be able to surprise us in some situations, but
sure,
just feel a whole lot better on this side of the ball. So as an Alabama guy, I think I know what this answer is. So I'm gonna go ahead and whisper it. We're gonna see a lot of the cheetah package. What do we expect from the Alabama defense come Saturday?
I think you're going to see a lot of that.
Go ahead and tell people what this cheetah package is, in case you don't know.
Well, it's like cheetah package is Dallas Turner and Will Anderson and Chris Braswell, who I mentioned in our first podcast episode that he was a name to watch out for. They're basically all play the same position, and they're just too good to keep off the field at once, especially on, obvious passing downs. So if we get a lead in the game, that's going to be, where you're going to be throwing the ball a lot, then you're going to see a lot of that. And let me tell you, dude, I don't know if I've seen anything like that since. The scheme was different, like in 16. We and 17, we had like Tim
Williams.
Tim Williams, thank you, and like Jonathan Allen, and we had some bigger bodies, guys that could get to the quarterback from the defensive tackle position. These dudes are like tweeners, but dude, they run like 4.6s, 4.5s. Will Anderson has the most
it's just not
ridiculous
fair.
hands. I know.
It's just not
well,
fair.
Anderson's getting doubled, and like he had 11 hurries, 11 QB pressures rather last week. 11, no sacks, but 11 pressures. Dallas Turner, I think, had 2.5 sacks or something because he's being left alone over there. Braswell, I think, had 1.5 sacks. So, I mean, it's just, if it comes to that, then
we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Our position. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we even have more depth on the defensive line this year than we probably have. Otis has been a real big surprise. He's a true freshman. He's playing in more passing downs than I thought he would. He's another guy that I named. He's a guy that lost like 70 pounds in between summer and fall, and really got in good shape. And he's been playing a lot of like early downs because he's just a run stuffer and he can get to the quarterback. So I've been more impressed with the depth on our defensive line than I have even in our national championship year, 2020. I mean, this line is better.
They're really good. So looking at this through Tennessee side of things, if we're seeing a lot of this cheetah package, how do you not want to be attacked? Let's word it that way. Like, what's something you don't want to see?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're back shoulder fade. I mean, that's what you're going to have to. You're going to have to hit,
which we have not thrown this year.
Yeah, you don't typically throw them. You're throwing like the post or go routes. And I've watched a lot of Tennessee this year, and I've watched the offensive line. They've been okay. Like, they've been pretty good. I think they've been, especially when you got Hooker back there, it gives them another level of confidence that, hey, if I blow something, we'll be okay. But excuse me, sorry. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how the game plays out. You're going to get less of the cheetah package if you're ahead because you're going to be maintaining a healthy balance.
We're now playing clock management at that point.
Yeah, right. And so, you still got talent everywhere. I will say, one of the more impressive things for me this year has been Jalen Moody. He's like a 4th-year guy he didn't play last week. He had a bruised kidney. So, but he's practiced this week, and he is tremendously fast to the ball. Probably faster than a Mike that we've had in a long time. And so he really picks up the slack if it's an out pass or a catching a running back in the flat. He's been very timely. So even if the cheetah package is in and you're able to get to the first level, I still have confidence in our linebackers. Henry's had a good year. I know you don't like to hear that. He's played well too.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Right?
He's cool.
He seems like a great guy. Talking about this this part of the game here, I don't have a lot of confidence in our ability to run, even if you guys are rolling out a lot of this cheetah package stuff. Now, I will say, Mike and I both went into the season, I guess in the off season, saying, hey, offensive line is a position of concern. And it has not turned out to be a position of concern. We have played better than in that unit than I think everybody has thought. However, this is another animal.
Yeah.
I mean, the three dudes that we're mainly talking about that Alabama has are, yes, they're incredible pass rushers. But are you just going to sit there and tell me that, they can't defend the run?
No, they can't. In fact, Will's equally good at defending the run as he is getting the quarterback.
Okay, point. There you go.
Yeah.
So I think in order to establish some kind of run game, this makes me really nervous. We're going to have some design stuff from Hendon just to simply play the numbers game.
Absolutely.
We got to get numbers in our favor. If we can open that up, if we can get some first downs there, whether it come through, quarterback powers, read options, zone reads, whatever it may be, for one, the dude has got to learn how to slide. I don't understand how quarterbacks do not know how to know this, but he is one of them. He doesn't know how to slide. If you can't slide, bro, just fall. Figure it out.
Bill Rose the same way, dude. I think he elbow dropped the ground. It was like he didn't know how to slide.
He gave the ground a good people's elbow. Smell anyway. So this makes me nervous. So I think we're going to come out and we're not going to wait to see what Alabama does in this regard. We're going to throw the numbers game at you. We're going to throw some Hooker runs, which I think would be great game planning because I don't know what other options you have other than coming out slinging it, which I want you to hit on this because I'm hearing a lot. I've listened to a ton of podcasts in the past 2 weeks, national media, Locked on Vols, Locked on Bama, Locked on LSU, and I really started this in the past few weeks, and I'm hearing a lot, even some dudes from Locked on Bama, or excuse me, just Bama podcast saying Tennessee likes to throw the ball. They like to throw the ball. This is what they do. They throw the ball. Look at the numbers, my dude. We run more than we throw. Is this the kind of perception that you have about us?
No. So my perception is you guys throw down the field more than you have the last 4 or 5 years with accuracy.
15. Or maybe since Tyler Bray. Seriously.
Yeah, since Bray. Yeah, maybe 7, 8 years. And the difference is, in the past, your quarterbacks, one of the big things that we said about Josh Dobbs is great quarterback. The deep ball is a problem.
Great runner,
pretty good. I mean, he's
quarterback when he needs to be. Yeah, I mean,
he's getting paid. Paid.
Yeah.
But like Hendon is a much more polished passer.
Absolutely.
I mean, Hendon, he's played elite this year. I mean, he has. He's been elite. And so, what do you do? As a defense, what do you do about that? We're going to play our combo coverage like we always do. We're going to play combo man. And try to get after him. And, Golding has blitzed a whole lot more this year than, I've seen. And it's not, not the typical linebacker stunt, or rather defensive line stunt. So linebacker can get there, type of thing. He's been blitzing cornerbacks, and we had a double safety blitz against Texas A&M last week. I was like, what? And where'd this come from? So he's gotten a little bit more, I guess installed more packages. So
you know what? Good defensive coordinators know when to dial that up.
That's right. And he last week and against Arkansas, he whiffed on a couple of those calls. That's going to happen when you blitz. That's just the nature of it. But he whiffed bad on a couple of them. So we'll see. I want to see Hendon running backwards, not forwards. That's what I want to see.
Of course, yeah.
But he is the great equalizer. If we Saban likes to mush rush when it comes to quarterbacks that can move. Don't give them lanes, make them kind of run to the sideline or run outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if we kind of maintain that same mush. Because if we can move the pocket back, then that'll be effective too.
So here's what.
I was just going to say, but Hooker's good enough to just catch us over the top a couple times, and then that changes everything. That's fast. And we got to get set. So anything could happen.
Well, I do like that you guys have not seen a tempo like ours probably since the last time we played. Do I have that right?
Texas tried to play pretty fast, but not after he went out, and he burned us. So
right,
yeah,
right. But I don't think they were. I don't even think they were doing it at the speed at which we've been able to do it.
No.
So what bothers me and concerns me is, and I understand that we're essentially comparing apples and oranges here because it's a different team, but we just didn't run well last year. We were 27 for 65 yards last year. Yeah. That's not good. And we had what I would consider at that time like a really elite back who was dealing with injuries in Tyon Evans. He was 730. Here's the stat that I think you're going to see similar: 13 attempts for Hooker. Now I don't remember how many of those were scramble drills, but 13 attempts, 27 yards. Jabari Small 7 for 8. That's not going to get it done. Mm-hmm. But on the opposite side of that same coin, we were right there at the top of the fourth.
You were. Yeah, you were.
How much do you think that can translate? What I'm asking is the information we got from last year's game. How much does this translates to Saturday?
I mean, I think it should give. I mean, if you go back, I'm sure they've looked at the film from last year and they probably turned it off at the end of the third quarter. I mean, that would be what I would do. Say, hey guys, you were in it in the fourth. We didn't play well in the fourth. Let's just do better.
Yeah.
But you guys had a lot of success last year. We didn't play. Our defense was not what it is this year. But we just didn't play well either. We kind of were flat. At certain points of the game, Bryce played well, of course, but it was kind of like almost like they were going through the motions, but I don't know, until the fourth quarter came and they turned it on. I was sitting at home like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, we're better than this. We can play better than this. I've seen them play better than this.
Yeah.
And so, and credit to Heupel. He's clearly a great offensive mind. Like, for me, he's up there with Sark. I think Sark is brilliant, like brilliant. I think he's up there with Sark as far as being able to know how to call a game, scheme a game, especially, put together your opening, opening first couple of drives, have that pen and papered out ahead of time and being able to adjust that. So,
yeah,
like, I mean, you got a good coach.
Which tells me that Heupel is really, really good. And we're not talking about him enough in this regard is what he's doing throughout the week, what he's seeing on film, his ability to break down and analyze, which he made some comments, he going to that LSU game, there's things that he's on film that he caught, right, that were able to open things up. Anyway, did I hear you say that you liked last year's defense better than this one, or am I misunderstanding?
No. I like this year's defense better than
okay. I was about to say, hold up a second. All right, so obviously you like your ability to defend. Oh, hang on. Let's defend the run. You like everything right there in the box altogether, right?
Yeah, yes. The key to this game for us in terms of the box is limiting first down for you guys.
Like what happens on first down?
Yes. If you're getting 8 yards on first down, 7 yards on even 5 yards on first down, consistently, it's going to be a long day for us. But if we're able to get you in 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 8, then we kind of know what you're going to do. It becomes more manageable. Your offense is very good, very, very good on, short distances because you can do so much. He can run. Obviously, he's got great legs. Heupel is great at scheming open backs for short plays. I guess I really haven't paid attention to your tight ends, but I think you have a couple of decent tight ends.
We have a couple older tight ends who kind of know what to do, where to be, where to go. Athletic ability. This is something that Mike and I talked on the last podcast. I really look forward to seeing this offense with an above average tight end because they're probably just below average. Princeton Fant gets a lot of not hype, but praise for being versatile. Oh, he can play halfback. He can do this. Have you seen the guy with the ball in his hands? He's not elusive. He's not good.
But like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 is a lot different than 3rd and 7.
Yes, I mean you'll see a tight end dump on a 3rd and 3 at some point, guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will be dialed up. Yeah. So, do you feel is if there is any kind of vulnerability, is it on the defensive edge? Is that where this is? Outside of the box?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be on the secondary. Like, I don't think A-Shane is a beast, and I think his longest run was like 16 yards, and it was in the 3rd or 4th quarter. I mean, if we're going to get beat, it's going to be in the secondary, I think.
Okay. Is it one of those, which I think I know the answer to the question that I'm asking here, is it one of those for Tennessee, we're going to have to establish the pass in order to open up the run?
Maybe. I I mean, I think Hooker can do that by himself, though. You know, if he gets a couple of design runs and he goes 15 yards, 8 yards, you know, if he gets his mojo, and then we're a little tentative on the edge, yeah, you can bust one, sure, but I mean, it's gonna be definitely something to watch.
Okay. Well, I think so. Just to recap here a little bit: Alabama offense, Tennessee defense, advantage Alabama.
I would say advantage Alabama if Bryce plays for sure. I would say, crowd's a big factor here for me, for Milroe. It might be a push, maybe a slight advantage because I'm confident in our offensive line, but it's close, much closer.
Okay. All right. Tennessee offense, Alabama defense. Are you going to advantage Bama here?
Yeah, slight advantage. Yeah.
Okay. And just kind of recap there. Tell me why.
I mean, I just think, I think our defense is good enough to control the run from a running back. We'll see about quarterback. I mean, that's always, it's always kind of depends on what the play, you know, is he going to get out? Is he going to leak out of the back on a pass and run for 40 yards? Is he going to have a design run for 20? I mean, you know, a lot of that can neutralize momentum, neutralize the way defensive plays, tendencies, all that good stuff. I mean, our safeties are good, pretty good. I mean, very good. Battle and Helms are both really, really good. I think probably the guy that I'm going to watch is Brian Branch. He's a stud, absolute stud. He's plays mainly strong safety. But he'll come up and hit you, great in coverage. He's a guy that's going to be coming on the cornerback blitz. And then Arnold and Kool-Aid are going to be, you know, out on the perimeter on the islands. And Arnold did an interview after the Arkansas game. It was like, hey, this is the first game where I feel like I understood the defense. I wasn't just running around following a guy around. I'm playing with confidence. And Stewart got his, but Arnold, you know, made a couple of great plays in that game. He had great coverage on him in the last play. So I've got confidence. I think I've got supreme confidence in our you know, cornerbacks. I think they're going to get beat because in this game, it happens. It's like there is so much grace given to wide receivers that they're bound to get theirs. It's going to be, you know, can we limit that to a 40-yard catch and then limit that 40-yard catch to a field goal? Or is it going to be a bust or they're going to, you know, score off of it? I mean, I think that's, you know, something to watch. So
do you feel better knowing that Cedric Tillman is out for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, why? Yeah.
Oh, I can answer why. I would please ask me why you wouldn't.
Why wouldn't I?
I'm actually relieved that he's not making a return, and I am probably on an island here. But think about the chemistry that Hooker has developed with Jalen Hyatt, and that he's developed with Brew McCoy, and even a Ramel Keaton. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the Pitt game where he was taking the snap and he was looking Tillman's way. Tillman was targeted 18 times.
Yeah.
So
definitely gonna keep him honest.
Yes. So Hooker knows that Tillman is my bailout guy. He is my dude. He is that dude. I like him on goes. I like him on slants. I like him on drags. I like him on slant and outs. I like him on everything. Well, two things. Number one, it was not going to be a healthy Cedric Tillman, right? It's not the Tillman that we've seen.
Yeah.
Two, it's a chemistry thing. I mean, we've gone a couple weeks now where he just hasn't been in there, and I can't stand how people think, oh, well, you know, he's back and everything's gonna be back. Listen, this is not Madden. This is not how this works. I mean, there's time that is spent between a quarterback and his receivers, and when the dude has been out, like you just kind of you lose that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm a little relieved that we're not going to go into this game trying to figure out, you know, what's that rhythm, what's that chemistry, because I really like Jalen Hyatt, who could take the top off of it.
Yeah, he can.
I really
impressive.
like a Brew McCoy, who is just a dog, right? He's
physical.
Yeah. He's got great hands.
A better version of Jennings, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Runs great routes. He's got great feet. He can explode out of his bursts. And he's just got that dog mentality. And now you've got this Ramel Keaton who's coming along in what feels like year 10 finally, who's earning the trust of a Hendon Hooker. So I know that sounds crazy.
No,
but that was going to be in the back of my mind if Tillman Monroe's out there.
Yeah. No, I get that. And listen, I mean, if you have an advantage on offense, it is going to be your wide receiver play against our cornerbacks, just by nature of the defense. And plus, they're talented, like very talented. I like watching Hyatt play. He's got a burner on him. And in the Pitt game, Brew was awesome. He was awesome.
Oh, he makes an incredible third down conversion.
Oh my goodness, he was remarkable. So, and listen, you do something like that in this game, and the crowd gets into it. It's just you got that on your side. That's kind of your ace up the sleeve. Make a big play, crowd gets into it.
Hey, keep the crowd in the game, and that's big time because
absolutely,
this crowd is for certain going to be a factor. But there is something that I forgot to mention on the other side of the ball, and that's this conversation with Jalen McCullough, one of our safeties who got in trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about what's the update.
Yeah, we don't know. Sounds like he didn't practice on Wednesday. And I'll just say this: if he does not roll out there, the coverage that you see pre-snap will be the coverage that you get post-snap. We're not going to be able to disguise things, and that makes me really, really nervous. I think what you see is what you're going to get between pre-snap and post-snap. If he's out there, we're going to be able to do these things, because if he's not out there, I think you're going to see Walker, the Georgia Tech transfer, who's going to be filling his spot. I don't think it's going to be Turrentine, just because we've seen Walker on the field far more than we have Turrentine. And my thought was even throwing a Christian Charles back at that position, because that's the position that's more natural to him. And then putting, because we've rotated a lot of bodies at corner, why not? But anyway, with that said, with the McCullough thing, man, if he's not out there, and it's not even like he's that great of a player. It's the safety position for Tennessee.
Cohesion, man.
That safety position for Tennessee is a lot like the tight end position for us. Two older dudes who just kind of know what to do. Not great athletes, right? And something that has killed me is we have not rotated. It has been Trayvon Flowers and has been Jalen McCullough, whether we are up 70 or in a battle, right? Whether it's Pitt, whether it was Florida or Akron, it was Jalen McCullough and Trayvon Flowers. So we haven't had dude take reps there, and that concerns me big time.
Yeah. Well, so the great equalizer there is if Milroe plays, it may not matter.
Well, the deciding factor there in the conversation of safety is who's faster. Is it Walker or is it McCullough? Right? Who can chase him? This dude terrifies me as a runner. This might be one of the most electric runners we've seen, right up there with a Lamar Jackson. Right?
Oh, he came in the Utah State game, and he took like a quarterback power run to the left side, and the linebacker came up and he just dropped the shoulder. And threw him back like 4 yards, like not afraid of contact. He's fun to watch. He is fun to watch. But in terms of lining up the defense, may not matter if Milroe's playing. Like,
sure, I hear you.
It would have been better if you could have disguised the defense for Milroe.
I got you. Yeah, but something we can capitalize on. I hear you.
Right. Instead of it being maybe a bad thing, it's just a missed opportunity.
I got you. Hey, I want to shift gears here just a little bit. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to talk a little bit and give you some time to think about this.
Okay.
How are you feeling about your past 5 games? How are you feeling? Are you feeling differently about the Texas win? Are you feeling differently about the Arkansas win? Are you feeling maybe a little bit different after the A&M win? Because, and maybe this will give you a little more clarity or a little more thought, because I feel totally different after the Pitt win. I thought at the time of the Pitt, we had won a good game against a good team, and now I'm going, wait a second, were they good? Now I get it. Week 2 and week 6 and week 7 are very, very different. You're still figuring things out. Chemistry is being produced. There's a lot of differences there. But Pitt turns around and loses to a bad Georgia Tech. And I'm going, well, shoot. Okay. And now we've got Florida. And I don't know that the verdict is still out on these guys, because who was Anthony Richardson before Tennessee? And then who was Anthony Richardson versus Tennessee? Like, was it the same dude in a number 15 jersey? I mean, it's debatable.
Yeah.
And now for us, this LSU game, a lot of people are giving Tennessee credit for what we did against LSU. I'm not. I feel like, knowing the facts that we know against Brian Kelly, obviously just kind of dismissing us, I don't think he did his film. He made some comments that's going like, you're not paying attention, actually. Your average fan is catching this and you're not. Their offensive line was again, Walmart employees. They're not designed to play from behind. And if that opening kickoff fumble scoop doesn't happen, maybe that game unfolds in a little bit different way. So I don't feel as great about our top 25 wins as most Tennessee fans do, which I've heard. Like, we've beaten really good teams. Have we, though?
Yeah.
Have we? So how are you feeling about the win over Texas and the win over Arkansas and A&M?
Well, I mean, I think the Texas win is going to end up being a pretty good one. In fact, if Ewers plays the whole game, we may not win that game. I mean, he's a stud.
That dude is a gunslinger.
He's much better than I thought he was going to be. And really, that comes down to the discussion we had earlier about Sark just being so good. And maybe the best thing that Sark did was hire Gary Patterson, because he's changed that Texas defense like overnight.
Yeah.
Seriously, overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, that team gave up 50 points to Oklahoma and Kansas last year. I mean, it's like, and I know TCU's now looking like it actually looks like a good move for both parties.
Sure.
Which is kind of surprising to say, but
I can't talk about Gary Patterson. It kills me, because he's too much of a football coach, apparently. Do you know this statement?
No.
You don't know? You're not familiar with this? So I believe this was coming off the firing of Dooley. When we were on the market, and our athletic director at the time meets with Patterson and comes back and says he's too much of a football coach. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
There's a reason you don't have a job anymore. Golly. The dude's a football genius, especially at a coordinator position.
Yeah. Yes. You can't do any better. Texas could not have made a better hire than they did.
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
And so what he's done is he's allowed Sark to just put that wall up, and be like, I'll take the offense. You do you.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit better about, I mean, we got that win. It was a big win. The Arkansas game, we were dominating. I mean, it was 28-0. And then Bryce got hurt, and then Brian Branch got hurt. And when that like in back-to-back possessions.
Yeah, bang, bang.
Branch is kind of the cog for he's like the do everything on the defense in the secondary. And so they had to, at the end of the game, Kool-Aid was playing his position, and he'd never played his position before. Like, we were down to Kool-Aid sliding in to play star, and then I think Eli Ricks came on the field to play the other. So I with what you were saying about having to replace your safety, it can flip change your defense. So I feel good about that. Turnovers are going to happen. It's like the great equalizer. 4 turnovers, 2 missed field goals, and we won the game. Like, I'm not disappointed about that. We played as bad as we could. The defense
didn't have a good
elite.
day. Yeah.
Defense was elite. The defense did not give up any points off a natural drive. All the points are off turnovers. So, Tennessee's a different beast than anything we've played. The best offense that we will play, probably.
Best opponent thus far?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I mean, I think you're going to look back and see Texas at 10-2, and
you should. But the Big 12 parity is written all over the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Oklahoma State's got a great squad. Baylor's pretty good. And Baylor's okay. Baylor's actually a lot worse than I thought they'd be. Texas Tech will sneak up on you. But anyway, yes, when you pair the team and the atmosphere, it'll be the best. Yeah, Tennessee be probably the best team to play all year. And I think I even said that in the first podcast. Like, I was a little worried about Arkansas, but I was more worried about Tennessee for sure. For sure. And it comes down to, you have an elite quarterback. I don't think he has to be Johnny Manziel to beat us. I think he can probably be Zach Calzada and beat us. A little bit better version. That's probably not true. He's got to be a little bit.
Wow.
He's got to be that game just kind of brings back some haunting memories. And then I kind of had some PTSD last week.
3 words: Auburn after dark.
Yeah, it's true.
In Jordan Hare, 6 words.
Yeah. No, so he probably, okay, let's put it this way. He has to be somewhere between Stephen, South Carolina. Stephen
Garcia, the alcoholic. I should not have said that on the internet.
Yeah. He's got to be somewhere between Stephen Garcia, who played out of his mind that game, but it's going to take an elite game from him, because that's how you beat Alabama.
Fair. If you can't, elite quarterback play. Yes.
Elite quarterback play. Because what that does is it neutralizes all the things that we do well.
Yeah.
If you have elite quarterback play, well, then you can run the ball between the tackles. You can run stretch plays because we're spying the quarterback. We're not, plugging a gap with the linebacker. So, and here's, other things like penalties. What's that going to look like? Special teams. Are y'all going to draw up another onside kick?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a lot of things to watch.
Let me tack onto this just for a second. I don't mean to interrupt you there. So we actually get a lot of non-football educated people listening to our show. It's pretty good. Like football fans, but not great at X's and O's. So just let me tap on this for a second. If we can get that elite quarterback play as far as throwing the ball out of Hendon Hooker, what this does for the Alabama safeties, it moves them from a 1 high to a 2 high. And it allows us to now play the numbers game inside the box and open up the run. You move a safety from outside of the box to high, and they're gonna be probably, just generally speaking, one on each set of numbers. But that's really all it does. It just changes the numbers games inside the box. You go from a 1 high look to a 2 high look, and fans out there.
Then you run zone read and quarterback keep, or throw a quick slant pass. It does a lot. Really does a lot. Elite quarterback play.
Let's talk about that for a second, though. We've mentioned this is the second time we mentioned zone read or read option, which is a look where the quarterback sticks the ball in the chest of the running back and reads that defensive end, reads that Will Anderson. Okay. Mm-hmm. Does he play the run? Then you keep it and you take off running. Does he play does he stay home? If not, if he does that, hand it to your halfback and let him run. However, Will Anderson is a bit of a different animal.
Yeah.
When have we ever seen a dude be able to play both? Like it almost doesn't matter with this guy.
Yeah. And in that Texas A&M game, he was meshing with the running back.
Yeah. It
was absurd.
Real.
Because people need to understand that you don't block the defensive end.
Right.
The tackle is pushing down on the guard, or on the defensive tackle rather. Mm-hmm. And with combo blocking on the guard, and it's a quarterback replay. But at least 2 or 3 times in that game, Anderson tackle either tackle both of them, mm-hmm. or forced a negative play.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee's perspective, it's going to have to be elite quarterback play, and if it's not,
it's because we turn the ball over.
Well, what I was going to say is, if we don't get elite or really good out of Hendon, then Jalen
really
Milroe better be on the other side.
Yeah. I think even a good Hendon is going to cause problems.
Simply because, and this is where I'm just going to give credit to Heupel, his ability to draw it up.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Get you in situations. Yeah.
Accurate passer.
This dude is a master of concept routes. Uh-huh. the guy draws it up better than I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
As far as concept route goes. And we're not talking the concept route and an option route are very, very different, which an option route is something when Gus Malzahn was in Auburn, you saw a lot with him. Which leads me to my next question here. Let's see, how do I want to set this up? If I remember right, years ago, you called Gus Malzahn and that offense gimmick. Do I remember that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, when the hurry up no huddle was starting to come around, and really it was gimmick in the sense that there was no consistency from the referees in terms of like actually punishing them for running linemen down the field, like 4, 5, 7, 10 yards down the field, and then our cornerbacks pushing the quarterback, and then him throwing to the wide receiver for a touchdown.
I got you.
And it wasn't called, so that part of it was gimmick to me.
I get what you're saying. Okay, so not necessarily the offense as a whole.
No, I mean their offense was like 6 plays. There was nothing gimmick about it.
I was going to say, I think in their run game they had 3 plays, and then their pass game they had another set of 3 plays.
I know.
They just did it at a really fast pace back in 2013. So I guess this is an easy question then. The Heupel offense, gimmick?
No. Well designed, well thought out. Really great at punishing weaknesses. I mean, I think if you go back and look at the LSU game, you go back and look at your game against Florida, you punish the weaknesses of the teams effectively, very effectively, which is what you want to see from your offensive coordinator. I mean, you want to see plays come in that either the defense is not expecting or the defense thinks they're expecting, and you're just better at them. You just know that you got the dudes, you got the horses. And,
what fascinates me is, and I mean, I've been watching this game for a long time, and I even played. Well, I say played. Yeah, okay. I played at a collegiate level. I've never seen where dudes can. There's a roof. Whoop-de-doo, Montgomery, Alabama. Anyway, I've never seen these plays where these receivers will come wide open. I mean, there's nobody close. It happened against LSU. And it happened against Florida. And I don't know if you've seen this. I'll try to find this to you if you're interested. Brew McCoy comes wide open. All right, we motion a guy. I think against Florida, he came in. Hyatt came across the entire formation. Against LSU, he just came across the receiver on the same side. Brew is the only one who runs a route.
Yeah,
and he comes. I mean, not a guy within 8 to 10 yards. I mean, wide open. I cannot figure out how this is happening.
I mean, it's probably coverage. It's probably just a coverage matchup. But you're saying that like,
but like if you walk through the disciplines of a cover 2 and you walk through the disciplines of a cover 3 and the assignments of corners and responsibilities of safeties and all this stuff, none of it makes sense. I cannot figure this out. Listen, I'm not a football genius. I'm a youth pastor. Okay. But I know enough to go, okay, you know what? Cover 2, this corner's supposed to do this. And man coverage, he's just supposed to stay with him. Cover 3, he's supposed to do this. Cover 4, he's supposed to do this. What is happening? How is this happening?
I mean, Heupel probably is playing on tendencies. I mean, you watch enough film of cornerbacks, you get tendencies. I know we took advantage of that in the 2011 national championship game against LSU. We were this power running team. We come out and run spread. We start the game in spread, and McElwain called a great game. Yeah. And they had no idea how to defend it.
Yeah.
And so, it's just getting down to it. I think the thing that Alabama has always kind of relied on is just talent wins a lot of football games, and then well-coached talent wins a whole lot of football games.
Sure.
And so, I mean, that may happen. We'll see. Sark used to do stuff when he was here that I'd never seen, like running these orbit motion in that Ohio State national championship game. He ran like 3 orbit motion plays and hit 3 different players off of it. I mean, you want to find a game that's like an offensive coordinator licking his chops over a defense that's out of its depth. That's the game. That's the film you want to put on. But Heupel's capable of doing that too. And we have weaknesses. I mean, we do have weaknesses. So we have very aggressive safeties. They love to come up and hit you. And we got burned last week on a slant pass, basically a double move slant pass, deep slant, or actually probably deep post. And it's probably going to happen. I mean, your offense is too good not to score. So it just depends if we can get a couple stops here and there and be good enough.
Okay.
Really consistent enough.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start to wind this down a little bit because let's be honest. I think you and I could probably go on this for another, 24 hours, which would be a whole lot of fun. You did make a reference to the 2011 National Championship game, and I don't know if you remember this, but you and I are actually together for that game.
Yeah, we did.
At your papa's house. That was fun.
A good time.
Saw your brother lose his mind. That was fun.
I don't even think he knew what was happening.
I don't think he knew what was happening. That's funny.
I'm just kidding.
Your family's
He's gotten a lot better.
That's funny. That's funny. I remember telling you at halftime is the best thing that could happen to LSU right now. And it didn't matter because they made no adjustments.
Yeah.
So just a couple questions here. Let's analyze the different ways that this game can end. Let's say, a game similar to last year where we took it to the fourth quarter, but the bottom fell out. Let's say a game-winning field goal in Alabama's end, we kind of get our hearts broke. Let's say a blowout by Alabama. In all three of these cases, in all three of these situations, what is the narrative on Tennessee? Because honestly, an Alabama win, I think, regardless of how it is kind of going to be the same. This is what Alabama does. They did again.
Yeah.
You couldn't overcome. They are those dudes. But if it's for Tennessee, what's the narrative? How is the perception changing on us in these three different outcomes?
Well, I think so. The thing that I've noticed is Tennessee is now beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Like, in my opinion, the score that you had against LSU was the score that I was expecting, because I don't hold LSU highly. It wasn't a shock to me. They're not good. They lost probably their best player on the defensive line. They lost him in week 1, and you just see the team almost quit on the field in that game.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the sign of a good team, though, is taking care of business, not letting a raucous crowd in, Baton Rouge, mess with you. You won a close game against Pitt. Probably should have, but you won a close game against Pitt. You've lost that game how many times the last 10 years? I mean, my word.
Too many.
So to me, it's a sign of a good team. And it's not like a Butch Jones team where, like, you're winning in spite of him. You're winning because your coach is putting your players in the right places.
Yeah.
He is got coaches on his staff that are aligned with his goals.
Josh Dobbs covered a multitude of sins.
He did, absolutely. That's my point. Yeah, that's my point. So, I mean, unless miraculously Alabama comes in and blows you out, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, I think any other game, if it's a 10-point game, 7-point game. I mean, if you look at the rosters and looked at the roster composition, talent, experience on 2 sheets of paper, didn't have teams affiliated. I mean, most people are going to pick Alabama to win just because of the depth, the talent, whatever. I mean, if you're in the game in the fourth quarter, yeah, it's fair. Yeah, if you're in the game in the fourth quarter, which I kind of suspect you will be, maybe even winning. Who knows? That's all you can want. And that's all you can want. And so, if you're there in the fourth, job well done. Win or lose, I mean, win obviously is going to be crazy. But even if you lose a close game in the fourth quarter, like, that's 2 years in a row where you've played with Alabama for 7 quarters. And even though I think there's going to be a drop off next year at quarterback, and we'll see. I mean, Milton's getting coached up for sure, but Hooker has just shown me a lot more, I think, than I even expected. And so, it's just a sign. It's a good sign for y'all.
For sure.
And then that's not that to say, like, down the road, you got another chance against Georgia.
Well, that's that. Okay, so that leads me to a comment I've been wanting to say. What's funny about all the hype surrounding this game, and there is a ton of it, your younger generation is finally getting a taste of what this. I almost don't even want to call it a rivalry, but what this rivalry actually is and what it means.
Yeah.
The history of it's a very streaky rivalry, but I mean it goes back a very long. I mean, we're talking 100 years at this point. So they're getting a taste of it. But what's funny about this, bro, is when it comes down to it, like this game doesn't actually mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, because you guys can lose this game and you're still going to win the West. All right.
Yep.
We can lose this game and maybe turn around and beat Georgia and win the East, which I don't think is going to happen, but it's very possible. Actually, as in this current moment, and maybe it's just because it's Alabama week, I like our odds against Georgia better than I do against you guys. But we can, I mean, so in the grand scheme of things, like playoffs are still an option, right?
Yeah.
Atlanta's still an option after a loss, but that I think that shows you the weight and the gravity of this rivalry, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, it should. It should. Like, you don't want to lose this game. Kidding me?
Right.
You don't want it to be, 16 years. Of course, I grew up in Tennessee. My dad's from Muscle Shoals, and we grew up Bama fans just because when you come out of the womb in a family of Alabama fans, you're an Alabama fan. They cut your hand after they circumcise you, and you're good to go. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's actually what happened.
Circumcision's biblical.
It is, yeah. I mean,
it's in there.
That's what happened. I mean, it's what happened.
Yeah, I get it.
So it's a big deal. And growing up in Tennessee, and in the '90s, oh man, I ate it every year. Every middle school, high school. 2001 was the only year of reprieve, really, until 05, which I was at that game, which was a lot of actually not really fun. 6-3 was not fun, but it was fun.
Fumble through the end zone. Corey Anderson.
Yeah. But
our fullback.
Fullback. It was a good time. But obviously for a lot of younger people, this game has not meant a whole lot the last 15 years. But man, it is. I mean, there's hate, a lot of hate.
Yeah,
between the fans.
I think that Saban is convinced of the rivalry, what it means. Mm-hmm. I don't actually take his words to the bank. I actually take his words with a grain of salt, because he's just not. He knows how to play the game. He's not just going to spill beans to the media. But he did say that this game means a lot to the older fan base, and it does. It does mean a lot. I think your younger fan base is going to say, no, Auburn is the rivalry. And for Tennessee fans, the younger fans are going to say, no, Florida is the rivalry. Well, traditionally,
it's Alabama, baby.
It's Tennessee, Bama.
Third Saturday in October, man. I wish they'd go back to wearing home and home.
You know what? Mike and I actually had a conversation about that earlier this week, and he said something about the colors not contrasting well. And I came back and said, I actually think the colors contrast really well, the darker versus the lighter. Yeah. But I really don't want you guys wearing what you want to wear inside of our stadium.
I understand.
That sounds petty. But I don't want to give it to you.
I love our road lights, man. I think they're sharp.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, we got to end the show at some point, and we got to do it with a score prediction. And I will allow you to give me two. Based on Bryce Young and based on a Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
I'm going to allow it. I mean, I'm a good guy.
I appreciate that.
I'm here for the people.
I'm going to go, I think at the beginning of the year, or at our first podcast, I had it 38-28, I think is what I had.
Okay.
And I'm probably not going to be too far off from that. If it's Bryce, I'm going to go, I think I'll go 34-24. If it's Milroe, 28-27.
Dubs in both?
Dubs in both, yeah.
28-27 if it's Milroe. Listen, I'm just telling you. I told you in the beginning, naked people and burnt couches.
Yeah.
But if it's Jalen Milroe and that game ends 28-27, there's a whole lot of naked people and there is a whole lot of burnt couches. If you're in Knoxville and that happens, you need to get out fast, because that's not going to be okay. You know what? There's a lot of people a lot of people that I respect in the college football world, Josh Pate being probably my number one, predicting this. And I really trust him as a resource. And it makes me want to say, yeah, we're going to do it. I don't know. Are we, though? I just don't. I am.
Did he say?
He picked us. He picked us, and he picks us to win outright. And I don't think he gave a final score.
Yeah.
Just other than picking us outright, which I'm here for. And again, reliable source. If there is a time, the time is now, because it's not going to happen next year. I just don't like those odds. Of course, there's a lot that can happen between this year and next year. I mean, so
Transfer
much.
Portal.
You guys will be without Bryce, but we'll be without Hendon. There's going to be a whole nother conversation. But anyway, if it's not this year, I'm really not sure when it is. And they were saying that about Florida, and I couldn't have disagreed more.
No,
we're on very different trajectories. We're definitely on the rise. Verdict is out on Napier in Florida. It's just year one, so I'm not gonna bring the anvil down on him yet. But as far as the Tennessee Bama game goes here, I just, until we do it, I just don't think I can pick us. The atmosphere is going to be wild. All the things that we said. Hendon needs to play elite. If it's Bryce this, if it's Jalen that, I'm going to go with a Bama victory, which just irks me because I will be there.
Sure.
And I don't know if you know this, but my mother has spent a lot of money in order for me to be going to this game. Yes, I said my mom. My mom bought my ticket. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas. Yeah. I probably won't be getting any other kind of birthday or Christmas for the rest of my life, considering the cost of this ticket.
You wouldn't want it, though. You'd rather have a dub.
I'd rather have it. But I'm going to take an Alabama win here, and I'm going to say 34-27 Alabama. And I don't know that it matters if it's – now I think the score changes, obviously. So I'll go 34-27 if it's Bryce. And no, I'm going to go higher, actually. I'm going to go 41-35 if it's Bryce. And I'm going to go 31. I'm going to say a field goal's in there, 27 if it's Jalen.
Yeah. I think that's fine. I think that's good.
Who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think the things I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for probably the first 4 drives, two for each team, and see what happens. That's going to be critical. If Tennessee can spot 7, even spot 14, and we get behind, hey, y'all may blow us out.
I don't know about that.
If we get out to a lead and we can just run the clock and Hendon's throwing, it could be a long day. It's almost like one of those games where I think it's going to be close, but it could be a blowout for either team too. Like, it's not like out of the realm of possibility, whereas we would have never said that, the last 4 or 5 years from your side.
Crazier things have happened in this sport.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I'm excited to see the matchup, especially between Golding and Heupel, and seeing what if we disguise blitzes, combo coverages, try to confuse him. It's just going to be an interesting game of cat and mouse and adjustments, man. Tennessee was maybe some of the most pathetic second half adjustments for like 10 years. I mean, it was like, did you not learn anything from the first half for a long time? And that's different now. Like, he's made a couple adjustments in that Pitt game. He made some good adjustments.
He did.
That I saw, even in the Florida game. And sometimes the answer is not to make adjustments. And I think he's done a good job of discerning that as well. So
sure.
It's just going to be a game of adjustments, I think, because both teams are good enough to force them. Like LSU, Texas A&M's offenses they're not forcing you to do anything that you're not comfortable with, that you're not, prepared for.
Right.
But Tennessee has the ability to do that on offense. They do.
Yeah.
And I think we have the ability to do that on defense. So that's going to be, I think that's probably the matchup of the day is going to be the defense, our defense versus your offense, more so than our offense versus your defense.
I can agree to that. Too many more variables there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if we keep you in the 20s on offense, then I feel great.
Yeah.
I feel great about it.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be exciting. At least I hope it's good. I hope it's not another year of agony. I've got a cigar in my pocket, and I do not need for this thing to expire. I don't even know if those things do expire. I have no idea how that works. Never smoked anything in my life, but I'm hoping that I start on Saturday. You know what I'm saying?
Baby. Yeah.
Youth pastor coming in hot. Right.
There you
this
go.
is what I do.
There you go.
Hey, I want to end by saying this one last remark. If we get some kind of turnover, I think we're going to be taking a shot.
Oh, 100%. Jimbo did it. Jimbo did it every single time. We had a turnover or turnover on downs, 60 yards. I mean, it was like it happened so yes, if he doesn't, he's crazy. Absolutely.
Sudden change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's coming.
It was what Spurrier did best.
Oh yeah.
So
run and shoot's pretty freaking awesome back then.
I mean, well, it's just what he did. You got it.
I know. Yeah.
They got a turnover, or even when he was at Duke. You go back. I mean, yes. I have gone back and watched YouTube videos when he was at Duke. I've done this.
Man,
fresh off a turnover, sling it. He did it when he was at Washington. Turnover.
Yeah.
Throwing it deep. That's what we're doing. So, well, hey man, I appreciate you joining us. It was
anytime, brother.
I say us, but it was just me. Looking forward to it. Hey, appreciate you guys out there listening. Thank you for spending your time with us. I know it was a little bit of a different scenario this week with Mike being out and JP stepping in, but his plan was to step in anyway, and I do appreciate my guy being here. Man, you and I will have to get together in real life real soon.
We will.
Let the kids.
And listen, I apologize for all the coughing. Once again, I have asthma, and I'm an Eagle Scout. And roll Tide,
I hear you. Well, you guys make sure that you're going, subscribing, following, hitting all the buttons, like this video. If you love us, you'll press those buttons. So thank you so much for listening to Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. That's my buddy JP. Love you guys. God bless, and go Vols.
Roll Tide.
I was waiting for it.
Pandemonium Reigns.